You just saw the video, the story that we played before this interview with William Evans Inkum. That's the reality of some communities, especially in the rural part of Ghana. But despite these obvious challenges, peoples in communities like Yaw Donkor will have to compete with their counterparts in the cities. My colleague Komla Adom, who has returned from the community, now joins me in the studio. Komla, it's good to have you join me here. We just saw the reality there, what you showed to us. What hope do these children have at all?
Well, Dela, it was a heartbreaking experience for me when I visited Yaw Donkor, because for me, many of the places I've been, basically the schools there have infrastructure to work with. Even if it is not ultra-modern as the cities, you still have some semblance of a structure that habitable enough for people to be in and receive tuition. But in this community, they have just 3 classrooms that accommodate students from kindergarten to junior high school 3. And so the community decided on their own to put up a bamboo makeshift structure, to accommodate some of the other classes. This was before the COVID-19 break, but because of long months of inactivity, the building came down. And so they wrote several letters to the Education Directorate to build a decent accommodation or a decent structure for the students, but no results so far.
It must be tough for the people.
It must be tough for them. And so the community decided that, okay, once the president has announced that schools can return or students can return to school, why don't we put ourselves together and then erect another makeshift structure with some bamboo and then coconut stems, so that it will just serve as a covering for 5 classrooms. So when the students return to school on Monday, they can have somewhere to sit at least. And then they will continue their pursuit of the Education Directorate to get them decent facilities. So that's the general situation there.
But how were they coping before COVID? And how does the future even look like for them, since we still have COVID around?
Yeah, you can imagine, Dela. For many people, this is a hopeless situation. But when you speak to the teachers in the community, there are only 3 teachers manning the entire school. When you
From
speak
kindergarten to
junior high school 3, when you speak to these teachers, you get a sense that they are building something. They want to build something for the pupils here, but the structures just would not let them do that. So, for example, while I was there, a parent brought 3 children around to seek admission for them because she had just returned to the community after many years away. She got admission for 2 of her children. The third one, who is 4 years, was told, you don't have a place here, because they do not have enough caretakers to take care of younger children, 4 years, 3 years.
I mean, the whole school has 3 teachers.
Yes, and so the teacher told the parent that clearly your 3rd child cannot get admission here. Let him go back home. Maybe next year when he's a little old and can be on his own, then you bring him. So that is the reality in this community. And to tell you, 2 years ago, I'm told they had their first basic education certificate examination, and the best students scored aggregate 28. So you can imagine the stark reality of these people. And these are students that, as I said in the report, are going to be competing with those in Accra and in other, regional capitals, the Rick Church schools, the Akosombo Internationals, the Unichels Internationals, and all these other schools in the country. So you can imagine.
Well, you can tell from my expression that I am in shock, because what they are going through. So in terms of textbooks, this is one of the conversations we've been having as schools are preparing to reopen. Textbooks, the availability of textbooks, NACA saying that some of the textbooks are not out yet. Parents are also expectant, waiting for the book list so they can start going to get books for these ones. Do you see them having adequate learning and teaching materials when it comes to textbooks and those things?
Absolutely not. So I engaged some of the slightly older students or pupils in the area. They said they have no textbooks. And while we were on the premises of a school trying to clean the place, tidy up the place, we saw some of the books in very bad shape because they've been there for almost a year. The rains have come, the weather conditions have destroyed some of the books. And those are the books that are on the school that the students, when they come to school, will use. But for those that they will keep at home and use by themselves, some of them do not even know where the books are, because, 10 months is too long a time for them to have kept track with their studies. And some of them have forgotten even the classes they are in before the COVID came. You ask some of them, then they're like, class 5, no, class 6, no, class 5. Like, they are just confused, because these are people who completely were cut off from the education space because no online platforms available for them. Internet, basic phone call connectivity to the area is a problem. So if that is a problem, you can imagine internet connectivity absolutely non-existent, no computer laboratory, no facilities. So, I mean, it's a hard one.
Well, it's actually a hard one. And when the story was played, I think it was the headmaster who was saying that some of these children actually follow their parents to the farm.
Yes.
So whilst they're in school, you see some of the children going to the farm with their fathers. Some will go hunting, and then he was saying something that was chasing rats or something.
Yes.
So with all this that is ongoing, and 10 months, you're saying that some of them have even forgotten the classrooms that they're in. The impact must be dire on these children then. I know you had, you're telling me that you had a one-on-one interview with a pupil like that, which is going to air tonight. If you're watching Midday Live, please know that tonight, News 360, we're going to air that exclusive interview Kamala Adum had with a pupil who's about to go back to school. But tease us a little. What was the conversation like? Where did it begin for you? And whilst talking to that child, what did you even make out of it?
So this conversation with this 16-year-old girl did not last more than 10 minutes. And I tell you what, I struggle to communicate with her because she cannot express herself in English.
16?
And she's in junior high school 1. She cannot express herself in English. So I had to be speaking to her in the language, they predominantly speak in the community. And even that, she struggled to express herself because they've not done this before. And this is a lady who, before the COVID break, she tells me she was into sports, she was a 100-meter runner, she was playing netball. And then since COVID, she followed her mother to the farm the whole time. So the 10 months, she even took us to a farm, a cassava farm, where her mother owns. And so that's where she had been working for the 10 months. I asked her, so had she been studying? She took a giggle, but I know that meant she hadn't been studying anything the whole 10 months. But when I spoke to her mother as well, her mother said, well, Odibechiko foam, yakod the foam, banchi foam. It means she follows me to the farm, in the cassava farm, to work there. She told me that they watch television at times. They do not read anything. So imagine these people going back to school after this long break. How are they going to recover all this lost time and the contact hours that have been lost across board? It's going to be hard for them.
It's going to be hard, and the question is, will some of them even be happy enough to go back to school, knowing that they've been on the farm for 10 months?
You don't get that sense at all. You don't get that sense that they're excited. Some of them are excited to go back, because even when the teacher was summoning them to come and clean the school premises for them to prepare for classes on Monday, some were running away from them. They did not come to campus. They did not come to the premises of a school to even prepare, sweep the classroom, arrange the desks. They dodged the teachers. So you can tell that it's almost like the 10 months has become the new normal, staying home, not doing much, just going to the farm, watching TV, eating. That's just what's been happening there. But the teachers say there's some hope that once school reopens and the students return to school, they can begin from some point.
They're always keeping hope alive. Grateful for your time this afternoon in the studios, Kamala Adum.